Tonight, President Trump is escalating his fight to take over law enforcement in the nation's capital with help from 6 Republican-led states. The governors of West Virginia, South Carolina, Ohio, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Tennessee are all collectively sending hundreds of troops to Washington, D.C. to assist with patrols, even though 4 cities in 2 of those states were ranked among the most violent in the United States, according to an analysis of FBI data. Now, by comparison, Washington, D.C. ranked 17th. As we were just discussing theater, here we go again. I mean, no denying DC's got a crime problem, but should these governors be sending troops from their states where they have crime problems to DC?
Well, I mean, if you're suggesting we call out the National Guard in these cities, I think that's a different conversation than our nation's capital, the District of Columbia, which is a federal zone. And I don't think it's theater. I think it's working. They've arrested hundreds of people. They've gotten a number of violent criminals off the street. Just last night, they arrested an illegal alien and a member of MS-13. They've gotten a lot of illegal guns off the street. Half of all the non-immigration arrests have come in DC's 2 most violent wards. There was some concern that they wouldn't be looking into the places where the crime is. That's not true. They actually have been. And so I have to say, with the amount of progress they've made in just these few days, if it improves a little bit in our nation's capital, that's good for every state, because every state has people that visit there all the time.
And I think that,
I
also think
send
that
troops from other states?
No, I mean, also
recognize 700,000
that,
people.
I saw images of a lot of National Guardsmen, federal agents protecting and circling a young lady who was drunk in DuPont Circle. I mean, I've been there before. I've just never been surrounded by federal agents when I've been drunk in DuPont Circle. They've out there, like I said last night, protecting the Lululemons everywhere. I mean, a lot of them are doing absolutely nothing. And not only that, but they're not police officers. They're not skilled for this. They don't have the skill set to go out there and maintain social order or discipline or protect you from crime. That's not what the National Guard is for. And even more importantly, if you actually want to get to the heart of this, go to Arkansas, go to Sarah Huckabee Sanders State, go to Louisiana, go to where the crime rates in this country are extremely high. Go to Mississippi, go to Henry McMaster State in South Carolina. The highest crime rates of states in this country happen to be led by Republican governors.
Who are the mayors?
Talk about it.
Well, who are the mayors?
Yeah, it's all
Who are the
can I
mayors?
say on Bakari's point, though, on in terms of resources, you're talking about putting our National Guards, men and women in uniform in the military, on the streets. This is not a good use of their resources. At the end of the day, these are the people on the front lines that are going to protect us from our nation's wars. And I'm sorry, unless I missed something, I do have a problem with DC crime, but our National Guardsmen and women do not need to be the ones fighting crime. They're not trained for that. They're trained to fight our wars. And what we need to really be focused on when it comes to the National Guard or any members of the military is really the threats that we face abroad. And that's where our resources and our training and our readiness needs to be maintained. And so what you're doing governors can make decisions about their National Guard. If they decide that they want to send them to DC, that is their decision. But at the end of the day, you're pulling them out of training exercises. You're pulling them out of their regular routines that are getting them ready for whatever their next mission is. And that next mission we always have to keep an eye on is China. And they're not going to be doing that because they're patrolling the streets of DC and not doing anything. Or a hurricane. Hurricane Aaron is coming.
You both said they're not doing anything. The simple fact that they are there.
I didn't say all of them.
Presence,
I said a majority of them.
And having more eyes and ears on the streets of Washington, D.C., a place where there is crime happening all over the city, I don't know how you could argue that that is not a good use of their time. It's our nation's capital. It is our national capital.
For crime to go down.
It is a disgrace for it to be violent.
But just one thing on that. Some of the crime that's being committed in D.C. is by young individuals.
Yeah, and they don't prosecute people under 25. How dumb is that?
But it gets to the point of the root problem here. We have an education problem. We have a schools problem. We have a community problem.
We have a carjacking problem. We have a murder
and
problem.
that's not going to be addressed by having the National Guard there for many years.
You mentioned that the cities, a lot of the cities, and I think you're right, have Democratic mayors, but they're in Republican.
Right,
a lot of them.
That's not right.
Yes, it is.
But it's not right. I mean,
the highest
hold on.
Red states led by.
Hold on a second. I'm not saying every city, but many of the cities in the top states are led by Democrats.
But let's actually
that's because a lot of urban areas are run by Democrats. That's not a controversial thing. My point is, and it's not every city, it's some of them. My point is, even if that were the most important factor, is the party registration of who runs the city, those governors have the ability to step in if they wanted to, and they are not. Why are they not doing that?
I think it's so amazing that the line on the left has gone from how dare, Trump invoke the National Guard to D.C. to saying why aren't the National Guard being sent to other cities? Bakari, you keep saying they're protecting the Lululemons like it's a joke. I mean, is that really the message the Democrats want to be giving out? Like, we're the side that thinks you should be able to, burn down the Lululemon, steal from the Lululemon. Let me just give some data.
Lululemon hasn't gotten this much free advertising in a while.
Why are they not
that they're
protecting
doing
cities?
nothing,
Why
that
are
they've
they-
done
hold on,
nothing.
hold on,
Robberies
but hold
down
on.
46% since Trump's cable.
You skirted.
Carjacking
Hold on a second.
down 83%. Car theft.
Wait,
down
you're
80%.
talking about a real
You're
stat.
talking about a week.
It's from the
Violent
DC
crime
police unit.
down
Okay, hold on a
22%
second.
from DC police.
You were
Obviously,
talking
it's
about
related to the fact that
you're
these
talking
people are
about
on the
a
streets.
week's worth of statistics. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you skirted past the question that I asked, which is why are these governors not policing crime in their own states? Why?
But what Abby, you're against
Who runs the police
Trump
department
bringing
in the city?
the National Guard
conceding
into
to you.
DC.
I am
Can I just also say that respectfully,
I'm conceding to
like-
you your point, which is that this needs to be addressed, that crime is a problem. Maybe if your point is that the National Guard should be involved, let's take that as a given. Why are they not involved in their own states?
I have no idea why they didn't send them to their own
But
states.
Batya and Abby are
But
both
I do
wrong.
wanna make
Can I
one
just
more-
say? Can I
let me
just say
make
one
one more
thing?
point very quickly?
Yes, please.
The media has been atrocious on this. Scott pointed out 48% of the arrests were in the two most crime-ridden
48% of the non-immigration
wards.
arrests, immigration
Yes.
arrests accounted for almost
Yes.
half of the arrests.
48%
So you're really
of the
talking about a
non-immigrant-
quarter.
100
You are
arrests.
talking about
100 arrests out of 200
But
arrests.
let's not play with statistics.
Okay,
We are talking
okay.
about a quarter of arrests in a
100
city
arrests
where
out of
where
200.
most of the crime is happening in a
Can I-
certain part
Okay,
of the
Can I jump in?
I need
No,
to
no,
make
one
my
second.
point. I
Batya,
just want to
real
make
quick.
my point. I
It's
just
not a
want to
great
make my point about
Get it
the
out,
media.
get it out, come on.
Okay, thank you. The Washington Post put out a map. Okay, this map was supposed to show from a data point of view where the arrests were happening, alleging to prove that they were not happening in the crime-ridden cities based on visuals and accounts from Post reporters and social media posts. It was retweeted by New York Times reporters, and it was totally false. It was
But I'm not worried about that. So
wrong.
one of the things that
The
both
media's
of
totally
you all
lying
said.
about this.
One of the
Why
things,
are you not
but
worried about that?
respectfully, before we get to a break, one of the things that both of you all said was you all discounted the efforts of urban and these mayors that are in these cities. And so what I wanted to do was backtrack to that. Because what we're talking about is people like Frank Scott. I've mentioned his name before, the mayor of Little Rock. We mentioned people like Randall Wolfen, the mayor of Birmingham. Andre Dickens, the mayor of Atlanta. You know what's happened in those cities? Those crime rates have gone down exponentially. And even more importantly, one of the talking points of both you, Batya, and my good friend Scott Jennings has been Baltimore.
How come I'm not your good friend?
Never mentioned
You are
it.
good, my friend. All you all mention is Baltimore, Baltimore,
Never
Baltimore.
mentioned it one time
None of us
tonight.
mentioned Baltimore.
Not tonight, but in life. You mentioned Baltimore.
I've never
Baltimore.
said the word Baltimore
You know
in
what?
my life before now.
Baltimore's crime rate is the lowest it's been since
I know
the
that.
1970s. But the question is, do you know how it got there? And that's the most important
Community
question.
policing.
No. In fact, the word isn't policing at all. It's investing in things like summer work programs, lunch programs. It's investing in things like making sure that people have
support
after
all
school
of that.
programs.
I support
So
all
yes,
that.
it doesn't say
support
National
all that.
Guardsmen.
If you don't lock up criminals, they come and they do it
We have to
again.
leave this here. But just as a point of fact, the cities that you mentioned, Bakari, are not in the top cities where there's the most crime in the
Little
country,
Rock
which is
is.
why.
But they've been
Which is
decreasing.
why. Yeah, but I understand the point that you're making. But I also think that let's just be factual here. It's not a knock on Democrats that they run cities. They do run cities, but cities are also hard to run. It's easier to criticize cities than it is to actually run them. And if Republicans wanted to try running cities, they should run in those cities and try to get elected and maybe try to fix those problems, as opposed to just saying, well, that's their problem.
It's hard to run.
So,
I agree with you. It's hard to run cities,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
it's also easy to see the error of your ways. In Washington D.C., they limit prosecutions of people under the age of 25. Who do you think is committing the crimes?
And you know what? The mayor has been fighting against that for a while now.
Ed Martin fired half his office, so there's nobody to prosecute him.
All right, we got to go. But everyone, thank you very much for being here. Just in, another town hall erupting tonight. And this time it's a Democratic lawmaker. We'll tell you what happened. That's next.